mind, I would like to ask Monde, mon ami, my friend Armand, who lives here in Paris. He works very close to my workplace and he's a good friend of mine. So I only invited him today, especially to talk to you guys about French language and explain why you should learn French. Over to you, Armand.
Hi everyone, bonjour à tous, bonjour à toutes. Je m'appelle Armand, je vis à Paris et je suis, comme Kaustub l'expliquait, un ami qui est ici pour donner une petite introduction sur la culture française. Okay, so I will start with a few iconic French words that we can find in English. First one will be rendezvous, rendezvous, which means in French, any appointment. It has nothing romantic. The verb is se rendre, and that also means surrendering, because in the old times, the French army was very polite, and when the English would like to surrender, you would just say, go to the bridge, or go to the open field, or go to the mountain, or whatever. So I can also say rendezvous like this, which means to surrender. Another iconic word would be fiancé, which I think this one speaks for itself. Here I put déjà vu, which means already seen. Déjà, already, vu, seen. The GIF is from a very famous movie in the French culture, which is called OSS 117. OSS 117, which is somehow a caricature of James Bond. So I invite you to watch that if you would like. And the very infamous pickup line that is Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir, which I highly recommend you not using in France, nor in Canada. So now if we have a very quick dive in history, we realize that there are many more French words in English than those ones. So actually, 30% de l'anglais vient du français. This is thanks to Guillaume Ier de Normandie, William I of Normandy, Normandy being a region in northern France facing England, the same region where was the D-Day of World War II. And so this former Duke of Normandy invaded England and became King of England by the end of his life. So the court was speaking French, while the rest of the English population was still speaking English. And so you have interesting situations such as beef, that comes from bœuf in French, which was referring and still referring to the flesh or the meat, whereas the peasants would refer to the animal as ox. My pronunciation might not be great, but you see you've got this superposition of two words for pretty much the same thing, because one from each language. Another fact is that also the Olympics were founded by French guys. So French was the official language of the Olympics until English joined a bit later because it became prominent. And also French has been de facto language of international diplomacy until the half of the 20th century. So here on the right side, you've got a declaration of war, the first declaration of war of the First World War. Then because of the game of all alliances, the whole Europe jumped into the war. But the first one was between Austria, Hungary, and Serbia. And it was issued in French, despite none of those countries are French speakers. So you could read, le gouvernement royal de Serbie n'ayant pas reçu de réponse satisfaisante, the royal government of Serbia not having received a satisfying reply, etc., etc. Now, if we move on to the situation nowadays, le français est langue maternelle. In France, Quebec for Canada, and also Belgium to some degree, and Switzerland. Langue officielle ou administrative, officielle ou administrative, en Afrique centrale, principalement. Ensuite, langue secondaire dans certains pays du Maghreb, Maroc, Algérie, Tunisie, Why? Because for historical reasons, they didn't like to put it as an official language. You can guess why, but there are many speakers there and they will understand you in French if you travel there. And it's also a minority language to some extent in other places around the world. A few key numbers, 321 millions de personnes parlent français dans le monde. Le français est présent sur tous les continents. C'est la cinquième langue la plus parlée au monde.
Armand,
Et
qu'est-ce que tu en penses? Donc, c'est la cinquième, le français. Alors, quelles sont les premières quatre langues?
I like that for you, but I will do a
Non, non,
step.
non, mais est-ce qu'on peut deviner? On peut deviner ça, non?
Yeah, let's try.
Ok. Dis-moi, Armand, quelle est la première?
I will go for English.
Première sera anglais. On parle de population, c'est-à-dire
La langue mandarin est la
je pense
plus
que mandarin,
parlée. Mandarin.
mandara, ok, mandara, ok, so
Mandara, ça occupe la première position dans le monde. Oui.
ok,
Après l'anglais,
anglais, ok, deuxième. Mhm.
peut-être espagnol, oui, Hindi.
Hindi? Tu dis hindi?
Yeah.
C'était
Hindi.
plutôt arabique, pas exactement.
Maybe, peut-être arabique aussi. Oui.
Alors, Soha, tu me dis, ok, mandara, anglais, espagnol, et en français, on dit arabe, right?
Mhm.
So, Armand, qu'est-ce que tu en penses? Ce sont les quatre?
Yeah, sounds
Reasonable.
reasonable, yeah.
Okay.
And I wrap up this part saying that by 2050, the number of French speakers is projected to reach 750 millions because of the growth of Africa and because also this may be the least developed part of the world right now. There will be a lot of business opportunities. So
Also, because of bee barters, we're gonna increase the French speakers every year by at least 5 million.
yeah, agree. So yeah, the trends are outdated as well. Yeah, we'll do more than that. So
Yeah,
that's
we have to modify those numbers. You have to factor in bee barters, okay? Okay. Yes, Shamser Sandhuji, just tell us what is your question or criticism?
No, that's by mistake. I wanted to laugh, but I just waved. Sorry.
Just laugh. And laugh. No worries. Okay.
So now a quick word on geopolitics, just to understand why France is everywhere and we hear France talking about all the international affairs, because somehow it has a siège permanent au Conseil de sécurité de l'ONU. C'est aussi un membre fondateur de l'Union européenne, et c'est aussi un membre fondateur de l'OTAN. And now I'll give you 3 core concepts that will allow you to, I think, to understand every position of France on international affairs. 3 core concepts. First one is un monde multipolaire. So basically, we would like all voices to be heard, and we are a bit against the US hegemony or China hegemony if one day it becomes overwhelming. And also, we are, for us, it is very important, this concept of autonomy strategic, which means that we would like to be autonomous as much as we can on weapons, on data, on communication, on GPS. Europe has its own GPS that is called Galileo, etc., etc. So it's very important for us to be able to have an independent voice in the world, and this has to be backed up by an independent army, communication, etc., etc. And also there is a concept that is very familiar to India, I guess, the nuclear deterrence. With those 3, I think you can pretty much break down the positions of France in international affairs. Quick word on the economy. So that's until now the most visited country in the world. You've got Louvre here in Paris, Château de Chambord, which is outside of Paris in a central province, very nice one. You also have the Alps for skiing. I could have included the sea, the beaches, many nice villages. It can make you happy in many ways.
Armand, tu connais, Paris sera la deuxième plus visitée ville du monde. Tu connais la première?
Ah, it's a tough one.
What about you guys? Paris is the second most visited city in the world. Although France as a whole is the most visited country in the world, but Paris is the second most visited city in the world. What's the first one, if you guys can guess?
New York.
New York,
No.
Londres.
Bangkok.
Bangkok, it is. Who said that?
Really? Wow.
Bangkok, and the reason for that is in the name of the city. Ahmad did not get that joke. But
No, I did. Let's move on. So 2 pillars of the French economy. First one is the luxury sector, generating a lot of profit. So you have LVMH, it is where I work, actually. That's my employer. L'Oreal, Christian Dior, Chanel, Hermes, many famous brands. All this is pushing French economy a lot. And the other, which is linked to the strategic autonomy concept that we've seen before, is la base industrielle de défense. So all the aerospace and defense companies, basically, just to name a few famous ones, you've got Airbus, you've got Dassault for the Rafale in India, MBDA, the missiles, Safran, the engines, Thales, the communication system, Ariane Group for space, etc., etc. So this is hiring a lot in France, aerospace engineering. I could also mention civil engineering. We've got a few big construction companies, energies as well, still linked to the idea of strategic autonomy. You want to master your energy flows. So obviously big energy companies in France. All this is hiring a lot, and I see many foreign people in Paris because we don't have enough qualified people in France. Now, the most serious topic, le sujet le plus sérieux, la cuisine. So what I have for you guys here is the menu at any restaurant, classic menu. You've got les entrées, the starters, usually a small dish. Then the main dish, les plats. Then you've got...
Oh, you said the entree, small dish. Even your main dish is pretty small. There's not much.
That's true. People should be aware of that. You can easily order 4 dishes in France, even if you're a female and you're not very hungry. Usually, the good point is to let you satisfied, but not heavy, because we don't know what you will do after the restaurant, if you see what I mean. So you've got to find the balance. Then is cheese. So cheese may be included as an independent section, like the big ones. Fromage, you could find it between plat and dessert, or is included at the bottom of plat or at the top of dessert. Here it's at the top of dessert, fromage, you have it here. They would serve you with this sort of wood plate, and you will help yourself and take what you would like and put that in your plate. And the last one, the dessert. You've noticed, I think, that we don't pronounce the last letters, plat, dessert. And then once you are facing this, you can make a choice. If I go back to the first section, on whether you would like only starter and dish, or dish and dessert, that would be 28 euros, or the full thing, entrée, plat, dessert, 34 euros, and then you've got other combos. But that's usually how it works. So when you order, you would say, je vais prendre, I will take, je vais prendre entrée, plat, dessert, and then you name it. Quinoa, fiesta salade, médaillon de veau au miel, et mi-cuit chocolat blanc, for instance. That's how it works. At the end of the dinner, of the lunch, they might ask you, un digestif? This is, would you like a small glass of strong alcohol at the end, based on the traditional belief that strong alcohol would help you digest? And then to wrap up, the bill, please. L'addition, s'il vous plaît. And for your knowledge, because there are a few scams sometimes related to foreign people, le pain, bread, l'eau, water, et les couverts, fourchette, couteau, are for free. So you should not see anything saying that you're paying for those items. Then you should actually not pay for anything more that was already predictable on the menu. So if I say entrée, plat, dessert, 34 euros, the bill is 34 euros and nothing more. Otherwise, there's a problem. And the tip that is called pourboire is optional. And I think it's interesting to realize what is the root of the word tip. Pourboire means for drinking, boire. So usually you would leave a little bill for the garçon to have a drink. That's the origin of the word for drink. No, so you would get you would give a tip only if you are particularly satisfied with the way you've been served. Otherwise, the standard is not necessarily to give a tip. Next, I have a few cliches. So the first one being that French people are romantic. I don't know about that. I let you judge. Maybe Kaustub has some insight on the matter. But I would just comment on a very specific practice that is called la bise, which is just a way of saying hi to someone. You can see actually the woman doesn't seem very happy with the guy. That's not a romantic moment. So you will just kiss the cheek twice in most of the country, including Paris. And in some regions, they like to be funny. So they say, with us, it's 3. So like, and sometimes in some region, it's 4. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that's a very peculiar thing, but that's the way it works. Another one about French people being rude. Maybe it's based on reality a little bit in Paris, especially because the life is very stressful. But that we have also sometimes cultural misunderstanding with respect to being polite. And I think in France, it's very important for you to say bonjour or to say bonsoir if it's after 6 p.m., good evening, monsieur if it's a male, or madame if it's a female. If you don't start your sentence with that, people will be offended. Whoever you talk to, and whatever is the context. Like if you talk to the cashier in the supermarket, you have to say the same thing. Bonjour, monsieur, bonjour, madame. And if you're an American tourist, it's a bit rude to come up saying, where is this, where is that? You know, you should at least say, may I ask you a question in English? Like people are very touchy with those things. So I think it explains a little bit the why. Then obviously the bread, that's an opportunity for me to say that in real bread, because I see many crazy things around the world, in real bread there is farine, sel, levure, et eau, and that's it. And the last one on the fact that we're striking a lot. I don't have any independent point of view. For me, it's pretty natural to have a strike if we disagree with the government. Kaustub, do you think that we strike a lot?
Too much. Oh,
Too much.
because good for me, because every time you guys have a strike, the suburban railway system doesn't work, so I don't have to go to office. That pretty much means I don't have to work because I work from home.
So it's written on this sign, le 7 mars, on bloque tout, which means on March 7th, we'll block everything. If I don't know what comes next. And to wrap up, a few key inventions that France gave to the world. The first one being le sèche-cheveux, that's not easy to pronounce, sèche-cheveux, which was basically a vacuum cleaner adapted to the head of a very brave woman. Then we have le système métrique. We have the bikini, obviously. Parachute, in case you would like to jump from the Eiffel Tower. And last but not least for you guys, if you have headaches learning French, we also invented aspirin. And with that, Kaustub, I yield back.
Merci beaucoup, Armand. C'était vraiment gentil, super sympa.
French was very overwhelming. We never realized that there is something beyond immigration. So thank you for opening us up to understanding the French history. So it makes it more interesting.
Avec plaisir. With pleasure. My pleasure.
Go on, Shivam.
Yeah, the short forms in the presentation, they will do.
When Mr. Armo has presented the complete microcosm of France in one small presentation, he could get a complete understanding, some gist of it. Very in an informal way, but definitely very informative. I could understand it very well actually. Good. Thank you so much, Armo and Kaustubh. Yeah.
Merci beaucoup.
Je me baladais sur l'avenue, le cœur ouvert à l'inconnu. J'avais envie de dire bonjour à n'importe qui. N'importe qui, sauf toi. Je te dis n'importe quoi. Il suffisait de te parler pour toi privacy. Oh, Champs-Élysées. Oh, Champs-Élysées. Au soleil, sous la pluie, à midi ou à minuit, il y a tout ce que vous voulez aux Champs-Élysées. Tu m'as dit, j'ai rendez-vous